from a stone, optimizing training potential on a budget, techniques for maximizing training stimulus and logistics for large groups when equipment and facilities are inadequate.
Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is safety for your group, safety for the kids, based on your facilities, environment, and the seriousness level of your athletes. Some of the stuff isn't going to work for you. You might have to adjust it a little bit. Okay, how many coaches do you have? Do you have to send the kids 50 feet away to a shed weight room? Do they have to go into school for a weight room? How much supervision is there? Okay, so I'm not addressing that in these models. That's for you to prescribe, okay, based on where you're working. We got a few models here to start about having athletes working, okay? If you watch other sports training, more or less the whole field is working, right? The first hour of football practice, what's going on? Everybody's doing something, right? A lot of times in throws training, we end up with lines of standing kids, right? When I go and do Learn by New clinics where I have kids learning, it kills me to have a line, even a line of 7 or 8 kids lined up waiting for a throw. It kills me because it's a waste of time, right? When you show up to do work, there's a 2-hour window where you can get your work done before your body starts to get tired and you need to replenish your nutrients. So some of these models incorporate lifting while throwing, which is Hart's training system. I talked about this in one of the other sessions. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But this example here, if you have one throwing circle, set up some lifting stations behind the side of the circle, okay? And you bring up your kid, your kids come in, you're going to have them take 3 to 6 throws. Maybe you want the kid to do 2 or 3 all at once, or you have 2 or 3 kids in a group and they come up and they all get their 3 throws, and then you send them to the back and they work, the group of kids work through the station. So at any moment, you've got 2 or 3 people at every single spot working out, okay? And this way, even when they're not throwing, they're doing something, they're busy, they're not going to cause any problems. And the exercises you prescribe, right, you can be hitting some of the weaknesses they have, or doing some developmental exercises. So you want to really incorporate more Olympic lifting with your athletes, but you don't have the time to teach them all separate, the full lift. You give them some like single-arm dumbbell snatches and stuff out here where it doesn't need a whole lot of supervision, and they can at least start learning those things. Here's another one. If you have multiple circles, okay, you put you put a group for each circle in each lifting station, and as 2 or 3 athletes or 5 or 6 athletes complete their throws, they come back and do the lifts, and as these lifts are done, they come up and do their throws, and now you have athletes rotating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Something that this also does is if you have the athletes running 6 or 8 throws at a time, and then they come out and do some lifting or go and do some drills or something, they come back and do more throws, that simulates the competition, right? You come in, you're going to get some warm-up throws, you're going to come off, rest a little bit, then you come in for your competition throws. Then you're going to come out, you're going to go to your next event, you're going to get 6 more warm-up throws. You're going to come out, 6 more competition throws. The idea of in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay, if you train like this, it replicates the competition days. There's a station method with 2 groups. You have a whole group of athletes up at your throwing area. You have them all do 10 throws. You have a whole group of athletes down here, whether you're lifting stations, probably about 10 throws an athlete and 5 sets of exercises for each athlete with the appropriate time frame. When they're all done, one group switches, the other one group comes back. Okay, you as a coach would determine where you want to go based on how you want to do that. Okay, so those are all your kids working all the time on basically the same stuff. Let's say you want to spend your time at one event for the day, or Okay, if this one you would just want to stay in one area, so you're going to have one group of people doing shot put throws. You can watch the technique, be involved with them. And your other group is going to go over to discus, but they're not going to be doing technical throws where you need to be there for them. You're going to be doing special strength exercises. Okay? So they're working, they're getting workout in. The exercises are building to their ability to throw better, their ability to execute technical elements better. So it's, this is more direct training outside of the technical throwing time with the coach. And then, based on your parameters, you have this group is done, send them over to discus, and then bring another group back to hold from the special strength to the shot put. Now, in this instance, you put your better throwers on shot put first, and then let them go do exercises, and put your developing athletes on the special strength first, and then bring them in for the technical stuff. On the bottom here, exercise stations can be incorporated at each area, or you can have it as a transition zone between these areas. Okay, so this is a way to, you can set up these exercises as a little bit safer. Like if you can't be there to watch them, you give them something to do that's not throwing once and taking on people's heads, right? So that you can kind of control what's happening out, behind you or something you can't see. Okay, then here, this is where we split up for the first time the qualification level of the athlete. Particularly for large groups, okay, you got a lot of freshmen and sophomores, or you've got 50 kids on your team, and 20 of them are there just for something to do. Okay, you're going to spend most of your time with your high performance throwers at the circle doing the throws, and then your other athletes, you have them over here doing special strength exercises and a lot of special preparatory and general exercises off to the side. So in this practice session, the kids in the developing athlete group are never going to throw an actual movement. Okay? They might throw dumbbells, they might do medicine ball throws, but they're not actually going to be in the circle doing full technical throws with you. In some instances, you might have an athlete do this for a whole season or for a whole month in the indoor season, and then maybe you bring them over to the throwing circle one day a week, right, to get some of those technical elements. And so based on your group, this is a couple of examples how to split up your time to where everybody's doing something all the time. Nobody's ever standing around. Okay, we talk about parts program theory. It's kind of incorporated those stations of doing some throws and then doing exercises. That's really good for traveling, and you can do this type of method at competitions. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But a lot of this model of always having athletes doing something is bringing your equipment with you. Okay? Up here, I've got a tote box that I bought a few years ago. Watertight storage, you can fit a lot into it. This is real nice for the coach. Right? You get tired, you're going to sit down for a little bit, or the athlete's going to change shoes. It's all mud. He has a chair. Sit down in the box, change your shoes. You can bring all the equipment you need for the day. Right? You want to run dumbbell snatches. You want to have a bunch of bands for the athletes to do resistance training or some warm-up stuff. You can bring mats, weight plates, all kinds of stuff. Throw in the bin. Make the kids roll it. Right? It's a nice little warm-up, having them roll it out off the bus. And then basically, if you can trust your kids, if you don't have a rolling bin, you want to bring a bunch of equipment along with you, out for practice or to a competition. You just assign each athlete responsible for one piece of equipment. That's very theoretical. I've never worked with a group of athletes that I would trust to control my equipment. Okay. Upper body exercises. I forgot to include the numbers, but I think I've got like 35 mains and 135 variations here. So this is with light equipment that you can take with you, all the exercise stimulus that you can pack in to a training regimen in the season. Okay. You've got underhand backward toss, and you can do those with a shot, a med ball, a pud, a dumbbell, or a bag. You get like a duffel bag, fill it with towels, bottles filled with all the kids' shoes, just something that weighs something. It's a little bit odd, and they can throw it around. We got overhand back toss, overhand backward. Oh, that's supposed to be forward. I guess that was in the choices. Underhand backward toss, overhand backward toss. I don't remember. Anyway, underhand forward toss. Okay, this is where underhand sending it out away from you. Underhand backward toss. It just comes in this way. And then you have your push-ups, and you can do shot release variation here. We're talking about bringing the hands specifically internally rotated, right, to mimic the throw. You can do your push-ups, narrow, wide, decline, incline, put the feet up on a bench, track, have them angled down. Dips, you can do reverse dips or foot-assisted dips. Now, even with my Olympians, when we do dips, how many here are familiar with padded bench press? Does anybody execute that? Okay. Foot-assisted dips are the same theory as the pad bench, where as you come into the bottom, you just tap your feet on the ground just a little bit to give a little inertia to the body so the tricep can move with some. It's not coming from a static start, so it mimics the throw a little better. So you did ground presses. If you're laying on the ground, you can press a med ball or barbell or bag or plate up above you. And standing press, you just hold a shot put and just press the shot put up, left, right, double hand. Okay, you can use your shot puts as weights outside. You take dumbbells out, take a little barbell out, kind of whatever you want to do. More upper body exercises. We have rows. You can do bent over stuff with dumbbells, barbells. You can do tie a band off to your throwing cage. You have the kids do standing rows. Okay, we talked about my technical dynamic of the release is rowing with the free arm and pushing or bench pressing with the throwing arm. So you have the athletes practice that. Standing fly, some of the same stuff. Sometimes I like to tie a band off in front of the athlete and a band off behind them, and they can right, hit these exercises, get that stimulus for them. You have to do that before they get in the circle. It reminds them exactly how they're supposed to be moving, right? This is some of the benefit of having these exercise stations at the throwing circles. You can also prime their nervous system to move, right? You can turn on some of the muscle systems that might turn off, right? These kids are sitting in school all day. They've got tight hamstrings, their glutes are shut off, their postures, their cores all collapsed. You got to wake their bodies up, right? You can do that with some of these exercises. Snatch, single arm dumbbell, double arm dumbbell, bucket snatch. Sometimes if we're in a pinch on the road with my athletes, we'll go to the Home Depot and get a bucket and we'll just fill it with rocks. And you get on a little bit of a platform and you just hold on the handle and you just do bucket snatches, right? And I did a training camp. Christian Campbell wanted me to come out and train for 2 weeks before one of the world championships. We're going over some training stuff. I was like, he's looking at my program. He's like, what's bucket snatch? I said, well, you get a bucket. He's like, no. I had Jerry just sent me a video of it. I showed it to him. He's like, no, it's not real. That's not real. I was like, yeah, it's real. We know we use it. And it works, right? Because it's just training stimulus. Okay, so upper body exercises, lower body exercises, jerk squat. Jerk squat is something I've started using recently. I really like that. What it is split stance squat. And go over here. Split stance squat. You can go back carry, front carry, overhead carry. I prefer front carry because that's what the throw is. And in the technical session yesterday, we talked about having bent legs, right? When we split bent legs, most of the way to the front leg. Jerk squats here, I like it. You just come straight down and back up. Okay, so it's a jerk stance, front loaded, and the athlete's working down, and that gets them very, very strong in this bent leg final position that we're looking for. I got some jumps in there. Okay, yeah, alternating jump too. From that same position, you can do just free-handed split jumps, or you have them carry a bar, carry a shot put med ball up here, and have them do this. You'll be amazed at what a simple exercise like that would destroy their core. Your athletes get really strong over like 6 weeks doing this type of stuff. And not much weight, right? 4 kilos, 5 kilos, 6 kilos. It doesn't have to be much. And it can all be done outside on a nice back squat. You know, you got just a plate, put the plate on the back, and then just do back squats. Right? Simple stuff. No break squats. This is something where you get the athlete, no rest time at the bottom or the top. It's continuous movement the whole time. Core torso exercises, lots of sit-up variations, okay? Have them on the ground, but they have to keep their feet on the ground, right? Nothing else around them, they're not holding on anything. They can keep their feet on the ground. You can lock their feet in. You can give them a regular crunch. Snatch sit-up. They hold a weight load on their chest, and as they sit up, they press the weight above their head. You can use med balls, dumbbells, bag, plate, put a band on their chest, they have to fight the band, have them hold it, have a weaker kid, have them hold the band, a partner holds the other end, and it can help pull them up. You can do throws, V sit-ups. If you're not doing V sit-ups, start doing them. If the kid can't do V sit-ups, have them do leg lifts, okay? Every athlete should be able to do some ability of a V sit-up. Really, really crucial for just life, core strength. Squeeze, when I have squeeze in here for a variation, that means I'm having the athlete squeeze a real light ball between their feet or between their knees based on the application. This is my goodie bin. We're going to get into this in the latest session. There's my ball. Here we go. Like a light ball. You know, this is just a couple grams. Kind of soft, but just hold that between your feet. And that also activates the adductors in athletes. A lot of times we have, with throwers especially, it's mostly upper body, we're not getting a whole lot of activation in the legs. The glute is going to shut off, okay? A main component when that glute shut off is the adductor takes over. So when you squeeze the ball between your feet for an exercise, like V sit-ups or leg raise, it makes the adductors work so they can't overcompensate for the glute med not working. So you basically take the adductors out of movement and it forces the athlete to turn on that glute med and work with that. Leg lifts, hands down, hands underneath your body where you can hold on to something. Also, there is hanging. You hang from a bar and pull the legs up. Okay, we got some videos of this stuff later. Overhead shoulder twist, or over shoulder twist. You grab a plate or a dumbbell or a shot put and come down and up, down and up. Now, the specifics are in the details, right? The devil's in the when you do plate twists, okay? How many people have heard the term push the hammer? Push the hammer, you heard it? Okay. Same principle, when you do a plate twist, you want to push the plate instead of dragging it, okay? And we talked about on entry in the technical session yesterday about the athletes pushing their back side, pushing a side around the other side. When you do plate twist, you push the plate ahead of your body, and then the body follows the plate. And then you push the plate ahead of your body, and the body follows the plate. Okay, so for an instance of an over-shoulder twist, you're going to work a little bit to get it up initially, and then the athlete's going to push it down to the low point, control the rise, push it down again, control the rise, push it down again. Okay, so they're not pulling the plate up, you're having them push the plate around themselves. Okay, horizontal plate twist, again, down here on the navel, going around your body. Cross body twist, this would be something where you start down low on your ankle and you come up over the shoulder from the other side. Those variations. All kinds of implements you can use. You don't need a med ball, you don't need a weight plate. Foot to foot twist, this is where you come from one heel up and back down the other heel. Again, you're going to push up control the descent, push up, control the descent. In a parts program, you pick 5 or 6 of exercises from any of this stuff, you're going to destroy your kids. It's going to be a workout like they've never had before. Reverse hyper, we talked about those yesterday. Supermans, everyone knows regular Superman, alternating Supermans. Side bends, this is another good one. Weight overhead, just go to side, side. Alternating side bend. Weight in each hand, and have the athletes come here. You push one shoulder up, push the other one down, switch, pushing the shoulders forward. Okay. This is a really good activation exercise, small stability builders for your throwers, very, very specific. Okay, any questions on some of this stuff so far? All right, now for the throwing aspect, all different kinds of variations here. Stand throws, this is how I like to run my throwing stimulus with my athletes. Stand throw, fixed feet. Fixed feet means that the feet can't come off the ground at all. The toe box has to stay grounded the entire time on both feet, no matter what the athlete is. That's a fixed feet throw for me. A drag toe throw is where the back foot, as they extend through the release, the more open you make your shoulders, the more you pull your left shoulder around, the hip will fall into alignment. Okay, this is something I think it's I talked about yesterday about teaching for understanding versus what actually happens. Okay, we teach our athletes that the hips have to come open, but the hips don't come first. Okay, you can teach the kid that the hips have to come open, but what really controls that is the upper body pulling around, and the more you open this upper body, the hip naturally comes through. Okay, so in a drag toe throw, I'm looking for that athlete big, wide, open chest as they release. And through the finish, they end up dragging this, the toe gets flipped over and they drag through the circle. And then drag toe and over front, the other variation of stand. Over front or non-reverse are kind of the same thing. Non-reverse for me means that the left foot doesn't move throughout the entire throw. The left foot never comes off the ground, but the right is free to move if it happens to come off. One-step throws. That's where you line up in your stand throw, you take one step back on the backward 7 line, bring it up, turn and throw. In that main variation, I only like to run drag toe and over front throwing. I wouldn't run a reverse or a fixed foot model from that. That's going to work very well.
Can you show that again? I have my head now.
What's that?
Can you show it one more time?
Oh, what?
The one step.
The one-step throw. If we're throwing that direction, you would line up in your stand throw position. And then you're just going to take one step back towards where your entry would be on the 7 line. You're going to be here, load, step through, and then throw. And again, just an over front or a toe drag on that. Then we have your half spin, South Africans, and full spins. Okay, South Africans, I prefer to have my athletes, instead of, if we're throwing this direction, a lot of times you get in the back, right, and you turn and you face straight at the sector with your South Africans. If you're a rotational thrower, you're going to get more of that South African drill if you have to actually rotate from the start. Okay? South African, if you're just sprinting in, there's no rotational aspect to get that first step done. So it's not going to do a whole lot for you. It's better if you have the athlete split the difference. Okay, they're still facing backward, but you're just going to move that foot up a little bit so they don't have to get as much around. They can kind of cheat that entry, but they still have to get around to get in. Okay, so that's something I like to see is people switching up that South African model, turning them a little bit more. Glide throw, stand with a little bit fixed feet over front, non-reverse, reverse. A little less variation of glide. Toe drag, fixed feet, non-reverse, reverse. And discus throw here, again, this is the variations I like to use and the specific applications. Okay, parts training theory. These 2 programs are lifted straight from Terrence Study's periodization. Okay, these are 2017 programs. Okay, and this is where, to give you an idea of how to structure a workout, right? You say, okay, this is your workout for the day, and you're going to be going, we're going to have one station for the snatches, a second station for the step-ups, these sit-ups at another station, right? So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stations. Athlete's going to come in, they're going to do their 3K to 4K throws, then they're going to go to station 1, do their snatches, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. Okay? Something like this would take, if the athlete didn't have any waiting time, they could get through this in 45 minutes to an hour. And they're always doing something, right? Maybe 40 seconds to a minute rest between some of these exercise sets. And that's it. Okay? When I do my training programs for my professionals, we track how many reps they did for the total session, how much total load there was. I thought you guys might just find that a little bit interesting. And then, that was 1, 2. This is the other example, just a slightly different exercise setup, okay? And here, this one, we had 2 weights, 3 reps each, and over here we're doing 1 weight for 6 reps on the throws. Okay? And then, something else. Who was in the 12-week strength cycle yesterday? We talked about exercise classifications. Okay, when I do my programming, these colors over here, these tell me what exercise classification this is, okay? So I've got red is my competitive exercise, blue is my general, green is my special prep, and orange is the special development when I have it. So when I write my programs, I have a coding of, I know what type of training stimulus this athlete's getting, okay? So based on those models, if you want to run these different, one exercise from each of the categories, throw in color so you know, right, to remind yourself, okay, I've got one of each of these, or I don't want to have any special development in my programming, so I should never have an orange in here. Okay, so video. This is the alternating lunge jump. Just body weight. We're not going all the way down. We're just going down to the maximum range that you would in the throw. Okay. Very dynamic. You can hold a weight plate, you can hold a shot put with this. If you have a more advanced athlete, you can maybe do a barbell on the back and do this. If you're going to put anything more than what you can hold out in front of you, this exercise switches over to more of a foot switch instead of a jump. Okay, so if you have maybe 20 kilos or 30 kilos on an athlete's back, now you're just switching the feet, not going up and down. Hammer final plate twist. This is the over-the-shoulder plate twist example. Okay, you can see we're pushing it down, controlling the ascent, pushing it down. The alternating lunge jump stuff, I wouldn't go any more than 8 reps, probably somewhere between 4 total jumps and 8 total jumps. This you could go anywhere from say 8 to 15 for a thrower. Something like that, 8 to 15 rotations in a set. Here's a lock arms, leg lift. And then this here, you put a ball between the feet if you want. Or you can have the athlete, force the athlete to have their hands on the ground. Forcing the athlete to have their hands out, not under the butt, but out on the ground, has the same effect as doing a sit-up and making them keep their feet on the ground, right? Nobody's going to hold your feet. You got to keep your feet on the ground in order to do a sit-up. Just a lot more core activation. And this stuff can be done anywhere, right? You can do it at competitions. Locked feet sit-ups. So this is an example. If you have something to put your feet under, or somebody to hold your feet down, something like that, it gives you a more ballistic effect from the sit-up. And load it with a plate, dumbbell, their training bag, something like that. Put some resistance in there. You can have them hold a band across their chest and have somebody hold it behind them, or they can hold the band and somebody's helping them up with the band. Reverse dips. This is a fantastic exercise. I love these. Really dynamic for them, right? Good activation for the shoulder system. We talk about throwing with the whole shoulder, not just doing a little hand punch. The whole shoulder in here. Great rotation in the socket there. And you can do them anywhere. Single arm snatches here. This is a pud. You can use a dumbbell. It's bag. What did I talk about loading? Where were we at here? I get too clicky. Reverse dips, yeah, you're probably going to be somewhere between 3 and 6 reps on that. Don't kill your athletes. When I was a sophomore in high school, the athlete, one of the football coaches, had just done a training camp at Ohio State. And he came back and he was like, yeah, they put 45 pounds on, and the guy got up there and he had like 90 dips. He's like, you guys should all work up to that. You can do 90 dips. I was like, all right. I grew up on a farm, so I had a lot of general strength. I get up on the dip stand. First time I've ever done dips, I get up there and I got like 40 dips in a row. And the next day, my chest hurt a little bit. And it hurt a little worse the next day, and the next. And I was down and out for almost 6 months because I had separated the cartilage in my sternum. Because I didn't have, I just jumped straight into it. So it's just a little example of, don't start your kids out with too much load right at the beginning. Overhead forward ball slam. Your neighboring schools will love you to death if you have your kids do this with shot puts on the grass. Don't tear up their stuff. If you're doing this in the weight room, I found that putting just a few layers of a yoga mat down here will save your balls. Okay, a lot of times people, they just throw their balls straight into the ground and they blow and they break after a year. If you put just a little bit of foam, so down here to break it, that ball's going to last a lot longer. Okay. Again, with this, we are pushing the ball ahead of us. We're using our shoulders and our arms to push it down into the ground. We're not dragging it through. Okay. And what that does is it connects the body from the hand all the way to the shoulder, all the way to the back of the hips. And it activates the glutes into the push. Okay? And this builds up really well to doing good mornings. Right? You're going to stick that big butt back out. It mimics some of our single arm snatch stuff. Here's our overhead backward toss. You can do overhead upward toss. I think that's what that one was supposed to be in the diagram earlier. Underhand back and underhand up. These as exercise. Okay, there's back tosses as tests, there's back toss as throws, and there's back toss as an exercise. Okay, when you do it as an exercise, you're in the 60% range. Okay, you're not killing it, trying to see how far you can throw it when you're doing it as an exercise. So keep that in mind too when you want your kids to do some of this stuff. Is are you executing it in performance throwing position, or are you executing it as a developing exercise? Here's another one. Talk about doing, all athletes should be able to do V-sits. All athletes, not all athletes, your better athletes, ones that are going on to college, should be able to do something like this. Okay? And you can start with just hangs. Hangs are just bringing your knees up. But the idea when doing this is you can see how much activation and stability there is here up in the shoulders, right? This is massive for getting the general condition of the thrower, their workability, how many good throws you're going to be able to take. When you're doing these, you're pushing your hips back and bringing your feet up. Okay, you're holding your shoulders and arms stable, and all you're doing is you're moving the butt back and the feet up. Okay.
So is that a foot drive or a knee drive?
In this example, you want to have like straight legs. You're pushing the foot up. You're pushing the toe up. But the idea here is when they do it, you have to think about letting your butt go back. Okay, because the shoulders are stationary, and if you pull your legs up, you're going to start swinging. If you don't do this right, if you just swing your legs up, you're going to start cantilevering and penduluming on the bar. So the idea is that as your feet come up, your butt goes back. Okay, and a lot of this stuff. I wasn't going to plan to talk about this, but big chest, big butt. Okay, with a lot of your exercises, squats, good mornings, single arm snatches, something like this. Big chest, big butt, and the butt's moving. If you hear your athletes in a lot of their exercises, push a big butt backwards and have a big chest, they're automatically, like an example of good morning, they're going to go straight to a good position in a good morning, right? Push the butt back, hips forward. Those are really easy cues for getting the proper positions in lifting. Vertical toss, this is a good one, especially for your developing athletes, early in the season maybe. Easy. You see here, we're coming off of bent legs. The legs are not pushing up. The legs are just holding my body, and the torso is doing all the work. The arms are doing all the work. Easy. Again, we're not killing it just for repetitions, right?
What size implement are you using, or do you use variables?
This one here is, it's probably a 4 or 6 pound ball. I would not go higher than a 6K dead ball, 6K med ball, or something like this.
And for high school kids?
Yeah, that would be the top end range, a 6K ball. And when doing exercises, larger surface area is always going to be a little bit better for the exercise piece, okay? Because you want to sort of kind of limit how much pressure is on the hand. Okay, there's always questions about the shot swing. People want to see it, so I thought I'd include it here. This is a pendulum device. For this, you'd be working like 6K to, for high schoolers, probably anywhere from 5 to 10 kilos at the most in here. This would be a soft dead ball in a canvas or in a strapping harness bag. And I talk about 3-step throws. This is a 3-step throw. Sometimes I'll do this with a heavy ball or a dumbbell. Okay, you can do this outside. It's a special strength exercise. Front foot, 1 step forward. Second step is a forward crossover. And then the third step is the plant. And the idea is you come in with soft bent right into the planted bent left, and you can do your strength. So that's another reason we're including this here. This is a shot swing, but this is also what a 3-step throw looks like. Really good exercise for your shot putters, gliders, and rotation throwers. Okay. Somebody was supposed to remind me about training in cameras. Let me come back to this one. All right. Training lots of people in a confined space and getting all the work done, right? This was the throwing cage in Kamloops. And we had, at the peak of training, we had 13 athletes at any one time up there. Okay, 13 high-end athletes. And coach would sit here, and it was one circle inside the cage, and this was the door to come in and out. And we had chairs lined up all the way through here in a stairwell. And you'd have hammer throwers, shot putters, and discus throwers. And sometimes you'd have people doing hammer throws, and then you have people doing special strength exercises where they come in and do shot swing, they come in and do dumbbell throws. And what we would do is one person would come in and do a hammer throw, for example, and as soon as that implement left their hands, the next person was at the door waiting to come in. As soon as it's gone, you walk in, you go get your dumbbell, you start doing your 3-step dumbbell throws against the wall here. They get their hammer, they start walking out, the next hammer thrower comes in. By the time the next hammer thrower comes in, you've just done 5 or 6 reps in your dumbbell. You leave, close the door. As the next person is doing their wind-ups for the hammer throw, they go through for the throw. You come in again and do 6 more reps. Right? You do that for 3 throws, and then your set of 3 sets of 6 throws is done, and you go rest for a few minutes. And the next thrower is going to come in and do that between each of the hammer throws. Okay? And so for 2 hours, it was 13 athletes. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, no stopping. Okay, so that's an example of if you have the mind to, and you have these exercises that you can bring your equipment and set your station up, you can get a lot of work done in a short amount of time. The more work you get done within that hour and a half time frame, the better your athletes are gonna perform, the more growth rate you're gonna get. Probably the less problems when I was a coach. Right, less standing around. If they've got a dumbbell in their hand, their cell phone's not going to be in their hand. Yeah, so that's it for the presentation. My other stuff has gone pretty, I filled the block. So at this point, ask me, any questions on this, anything else from any other presentation. How much time do we have? I guess I can only have about 17. Oh, okay, yeah. If you want me to show you anything, let it fly.
Do you do GHE, GHR for your athletes?
Yeah,
Because I found our high school athletes are just incredibly weak
yeah.
in the posterior.
Yeah, as a base exercise, yeah, it's totally fine. I would say working toward a good morning. I would use that as a transition, a building exercise into a good morning, because that's just going to be, it's a more athletic movement. And in a good morning, I think people have a tendency to overload the GHR. It's too easy to stack stuff on there. And a good morning, my Olympians, my professional athletes, we never did anything more than 60 kilos, right? The most I ever did with 60 kilos on the bar, 245s, okay, or 145 each side. But as I got better and better and better, I was executing it. Like that. Okay, so the morning is an example of an exercise where you keep the loads low because you're working small muscle groups, but you can start moving it more ballistically as that athlete improves.
So then how about like RDLs? Do you include those, or do you like the good morning better?
I like the good morning better because it forces the athlete here, and that's where we throw. RDLs are fine. They're fine it's just more of a general exercise. Yeah, but I do like I like RDLs for the fact of you're isolating bend in the knee, right? You're isolating bend in the knee, and you're forcing an athlete to work their butt back. That's a really good example where you can cue that athlete of moving their butt backwards, right? The idea of having a big butt here, big chest, big butt as you're doing that movement.
When you do your stations, like with weightlifting versus throwing,
Yeah.
did you ever find out that the kids get fatigued in the weightlifting, they go back in the throwing circle? And does not that compromise the technical work that you're trying to work on?
I think initially you'll find that yes, but over time their body should adjust to the training parameter, and they'll get used to, I mean, you're going to give them, they're not going to run this continuously like a circuit. They're going to finish they're going to take a minute and a half or so between exercises, and when they finish their last exercise, they're going to go over and they're going to get their wrist wrap or whatever, and collect their throwing movements. They're going to have 2 or 3 minutes or so before they start doing the next throw. And the idea is, you have them do 6 or 8 throws, and then they're going to do like 5 exercises, 2 sets each. Right? So it's not like a full lifting cycle and then come back and throw to the throwing. So you keep it somewhat minimal.
What type of percentage?
For loads?
Yeah, like, I'm sure you're not back, but kind of.
No,
It's basically the maintenance of strength,
right. Yeah, if we go back to, these, you look here, this is a bodyweight exercise, hurdle hop, 7 kilo shot for backward toss, bodyweight, in a 4K, 4 kilos in each arm, right? This one, right, we're looking at a 15 kilo dumbbell for a single arm snatch, 15 kilos on the front step up, she's holding it up here, doing a step up on the box. That kind of gives, now she's a 1780, 18 meter thrower. So, for your high school kids, you might be looking at a 5 kilo plate or, something like that. But yeah, see, it's simple stuff. It looks a lot like the videos I showed you. Those are all, that's what it looks like between your throws. And like I said, yeah, initially you'd be amazed, like something like you do 3 rotations of this and you're dead. Like the kids would be toasted. But over time, they'll adjust to it and get used to it. Like I said, that builds into the competition of, you go in. We talked about the lactic cycle yesterday, and forcing, having 12 sets, 3 reps with 30 seconds rest between, right? And then the athlete, they do work, okay, on the clock, okay, do work again. And by the time you get to the 10th or 12th set, you are, in that 30 seconds, you are mentally preparing yourself to perform, right? To performance on demand. Right now, I have to lift this bar fast, like I did the first set. Same thing here. I just finished my exercise. I'm a little bit tired. I got to go over there and coach for 6 more throws. I got to do my A game. That transfers straight into the mental capacity for competitions. Yesterday, for parts, if you're going to run this at training session, you're going to do your warm up, throws, lift, throws, lift, throws, lift. You can do 2 rotations or 3 rotations. If you're at a competition, you would use these exercises, maybe 1 set each, as your warm-up. Okay? You do the exercises, and then the athlete's going to go in and they're going to do their first event. They're done competing in the first event, they're going to come back and they're going to go straight over their second event, compete, and then they're going to do 1 more round of exercises to close out the day. Okay, so now you just turn the competition into a training opportunity. And if there's a little more time between the events, sometimes the kids, they're running from one circle all the way to the next circle and they're competing right away. If there's a little more time between, let's say you have an invitational or it's a little bigger meet, you can have the kids do 3 rotations. You do 1 round of exercises before the first event, you do another round of exercises between the events, you would do it right after you complete the first competition, and then you would do the 3rd rotation after the second event.
So this works really well with the parts program, or the parts workout.
Yeah.
Those ones. Can you speak a little bit to the non-parts side of the house, right? Like if I need to get in the weight room,
Yeah.
it's 20 throwers. It's more like one of the other line methods, but realistically, my workout facility is across the street, past the field, right on the other side of the building.
Right.
Which is kind of
So in that, you might want to use something like this when you're outside.
Sure.
Okay? Because you talk about the exercise classifications.
Yeah.
You have the kids do stand throws. Say discus throwers, you're going to do stand throws, you're going to do half spins, you're going to throw, little 2-pound med balls, 3-pound med balls, this stuff today, and then the shot putters are going to do the specifics, or maybe you're going to have everybody work in the same area or whatever, and you're going to go to the weight room, and then let's say in the weight room, you set up the same thing, set up your stations, but control the grouping, right? Each of these exercises would build upon the next, okay? And so, were you in the lecture yesterday? We talked about the order of operations in the weight room.
Yeah.
Starting with power, Olympic power. Okay. Your good athletes, the higher level performing athletes, you're going to go Olympics, power, ancillary. And your lower level kids, send to the other side of the weight room, you're going to do your ancillary power Olympics. And now you have your kids shifting, right? Yeah.
And that's typically the closest throw.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to do your lifting right after throwing. And that's where every school is different. I know people have, football players who have to go to lifting, people who not to throwing, and again, that's a great question for a specific application. If you have another application at your school, you're wondering an idea or something like that, let me know.
We talked about rest and recovery, and we talked a lot about activation and strength training and all these things, but not a lot about recovery and rest. And I think that for these younger kids, that's something that they're really not hearing much about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's 2 aspects. There's training, there's prescribed rest, and there's lifestyle rest. somebody asked that in the panel yesterday, what's better, heavyweight or lightweight implements? And I answered that it depends on the athlete. Some athletes respond better to heavy implements, and some respond better to light. It's the same thing with rest in your weekly schedule. Some athletes compete really well if they have a day off right before competition. Okay, so as you get your big invitationals, your championship season at the end of the year, maybe play around a little bit with some of your better athletes and say, okay, today you're going to take full rest. You're going to do nothing all day today. Tomorrow you're going to come on throw. Or some athletes do better, they have a training session the day before. Maybe you take all your loads, you cut it in half. You say you're going to do 10 throws, you're going to do 1 set of all your exercises. For 10 throws and 2 sets of all your exercises. And that's it. We're going home. I competed better when I had a training session the day before. Okay? If you're going to do training right before competition, ideally 24 hours beforehand and full rest. Okay? Big epidemic right now with especially high school athletes is they're not taking rest. They're doing track and field, and they're going home. They're going over doing club soccer, and they're waking up in the morning and they're going to gymnastics practice, and it's just crazy. These athletes, they're growing teenagers. They need sleep. They need downtime. Okay, and this is where you pack them in for 2 hours. Right, just tons of work in 2 hours. And go home and rest. Just do nothing until practice tomorrow. And then that's where lifestyle rest comes in. Of the kids, you have to talk about getting off screen time. You have to talk about eating in the morning. Water during the day, I was guilty of it. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd brush my teeth, I'd go to school, I'd chew gum all day, I might sip at the drinking fountain once or twice, I'd have a little carton of milk. I didn't have any money in high school, so I got like free lunches, and I would get 1 little carton of milk from a liquid, eat the salty lunch, and keep chewing gum all day, and I'd go out and practice. And if it was a football season, I'd go out and practice, or then I'd go home and have a nap, and have a pizza after school, because the janitors would swipe the pizza for me, because I was a big guy, for the leftovers, and give it to me, I'd scarf it down, and then I'd go to the game, and then I'd have pizza that night, and I wouldn't drink any water. And I wake up the next day, and I was super hungry because I didn't eat properly the night before, I didn't hydrate, and I had to go into school for film. The next morning, I stopped at the bakery, and I'd get a dozen donuts, but I really put like 16 of them in there and tell them it was a dozen. And I go to film, and I'd eat all the donuts. Talking. How destructive is that, right? Doing myself no favors. Nobody talked to me about it. Nobody said, Justin, what are you doing? Hydration. Let's see what else we're covering. Screen time. Screens are a big issue. Screen time. Kids fall asleep with their phones. Melatonin. Basically, no melatonin production at all. Based on your travel, and in this part of the country, travel times are pretty low. You're only going 15, 20 minutes maybe for competitions. I know I coached a kid out in New Mexico one time, and they go 3 hours to competitions. They're average distance, and so you get out of the van, you get out of the bus, you got to hit activation registers right away. Turn your bodies on. And you guys do the same thing. You want to do some part stuff, right? And you don't have to do full exercises. You can just do band work. You can run some of this stuff with just bands at your competition, as long as you're getting something else in. Umbrellas go a long way on competition day. Yeah. I take an umbrella no matter what the weather. Sun, rain, or wind. Okay. It'll save you as a coach, and you do a lot for your athletes. Folding chairs and umbrellas. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
I usually take 2 umbrellas.
One
for them and one for me.
I do. The umbrella, well, I'll take 2 umbrellas. I'll sit in my chair, one umbrella down for my feet, one umbrella for me. Okay? Or if it's raining out, you get yourself a big golf umbrella, and well, like there would be any other kind of umbrella, right? Rainy competition day, put your umbrella down right next to the circle for your kids. Put a bunch of towels down with a chalk, whatever they want, implements under there. All your kids' stuff can sit under the umbrella, and it's not getting rained on. Right? Other schools would be real jealous, right? Or you get something like this, watertight mostly, it keeps all your stuff dry while you're there. Yeah, this was $50 at Lowe's.
What do you think about running for throwers?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I was brainstorming and I was like, I'm totally going to talk about running. Nothing over 40 meters, nothing over 50 meters is going to benefit your throwers.
We always have throwers 4x4 again.
Yeah.
Keep them focused and keep them full. Keep them
Right.
shaped a little bit, keep them scooping off.
Yeah. Okay. The thrower relay, it's fun, right? And there's a line here between your performance aspect and your fun aspect, your experience aspect. Okay. From a performance aspect, I would never set my kids on a 400-meter warm-up jump. I'm going to put them on 8 50-meter jumps. Right? Jog 50 meters, stop, do a stretch. Jog 50 meters, stop, do a stretch. Breaking it up. Okay, so from the performance aspect, the total distance isn't the issue, it's the specific, the one-time load. At the high school level, you can pretty much do anything that the athletes are able to. But yeah, in terms of performance, you want to keep them down. Sprinting is fine for your better athletes. And the more and more specific you get, probably the more and more you get away from running. But yeah, most times, let's just say 95% of the athletes in high school that are throwers, you send them out in a long jog, you're probably doing them more harm than good than have them do short interval bursts. Okay, that's another thing about the lactic cycle I talk about, is you do this workload under short restorations, you're getting a big cardiac reaction out of the body. Okay, so you can still get cardio effect without sustained activity. You have them do a sprint, 20-meter, 30-meter sprint. You take 15 seconds rest. 20, 30-meter sprint, 15 seconds rest. You do that for 2 minutes, they're going to be lit up. But you didn't just ground pound their knees and ankles and make them feel sloppy fat, dragging their carcass around the track. More times than not, that's what they look like, right? And did you enjoy running laps as a thrower in high school? I was pretty skinny, but as soon as I hit 200 pounds, I couldn't make it around. It was hard. My body didn't like it.
They used to, a couple schools that I coached at, they were team bonding were on mile line.
Right.
And this is people are way out, the sprinters can go over, throws them back. I just said, well, that was like team.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So yeah, that's where the line of experience versus performance. And whatnot.
I like the hurdle over and unders, the hurdles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, going under and over. Yeah, that's a really great one. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Sleds, pylon pushes, stuff like that. Have you incorporated in that?
Good for base conditioning, really good off-season stuff. If you've got a kid who's going to go to the state meet or has a good shot at getting out of regions, I'd cut that out like in March. Yeah. Okay, the second session, we're going to bust out all the equipment, throw stuff around, just kind of play around a little bit, okay? There's no PowerPoint. If you're coming to that session, bring questions. Okay, I'll answer anything. You want to ask about traveling the world, what the circuit's like, the professional throwing world, anything like that. You want to ask, give me more specific questions about your school, your program, what you're looking for. I'm here to ask your specific questions. If there's something that you came to this clinic for and you haven't had it yet, ask me. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh,